This man locked 85,000 people up, suspended their constitutional rights for 3 good years, and yet he got re-elected with 85% votes from the people. This is the story of how Nayib Bukele turned the world's most dangerous country to its safest. In 2015, El Salvador was known as the world's murder capital because for every 100,000 people, 103 deaths would occur, and these deaths were from human-related crimes happening. This was not a war zone. This was just a country with about 6 million people, but they had an issue. The government was not in full control of this country. Instead, the country was being controlled by gangs, drug gangs to be specific. These gangs were doing the most. They put up illegal levies for every single thing. If you had a shop in El Salvador in 2015, you would be paying monthly dues. You were driving a taxi, a bus, you would be paying the gang dues. Even just entering and leaving communities, you'll be made to pay fees by these gang members. People were terrified for their lives. If you didn't pay, you would be shot on sight. There were reports that drivers who had not paid their monthly levies would be driving and they would be shot on wheel. Shop owners who could not afford the $15-20 that they were being charged to pay by the gangs, their shops would be burnt down to the ground. Some of them would even be killed or their parents would be killed. People were scared to live in the country. And so many people started running away. They started running to different neighboring countries that had lesser crime rates. Tourists could not go near the place. How dare you? What of foreign investors? There was nothing like that. People would not come into a country that is leveled with a lot of crimes and invest their money. Foreign investors ran away, incurring several losses. New ones refused to come. Nobody could come into that death zone. Then something happened that changed the entire situation of the country. These gangs massacred 87 people under 72 hours. The entire country went upside down. These were just ordinary people, shop owners, mothers, children, teachers in school, just normal people who had no affiliation to these gangs. So it was not like two gangs fighting each other, then this was the fallout of the fight. No, these were just normal people. 87 people died under 72 hours. That was when the president said, okay, this is the end. This cannot continue happening. Enough is enough. It is either me or you people in this country. And so the 45-year-old president Bukele marched down to the Legislative Assembly and told them, I need you to approve a state of exception immediately. And it was done. Do you know what that meant? It meant that constitutional rights were suspended. Arrest without warrant could happen and no right to any legal counsel. Immediately the Legislative Assembly approved it. Bam! The president swung into action. He called all the security personnel. He said, go into the streets, go into all the alleys, go into all the gang houses, arrest every single person, every single suspected gang member, arrest all of them. That was how they went. And in a few months, a whopping 85,000 people were arrested and locked up. That means 1.5% of the entire population was jailed. That is the highest in the entire world. He didn't stop there. He was ready for them. He built the largest prison in Western Hemisphere that could house over 40,000 inmates. This prison was highly equipped with very strong security, and it was specifically built for gang members. He had the capacity to house 40,000. I don't know if you know what 40,000 means. 40,000 is a lot of numbers. During the course of the arrest, while they were in jail, of course, they had no right to legal counsel. You could not call Barrister Lai or Falana to come and defend you. Nobody would even let them. The Legislative Assembly had already stamped it that all constitutional rights would be apprehended and suspended for every single gang member in that prison. And so there was no way out. During this period, 427 people died in prison. And yet, President Bukele was not shaking. International human rights activists, different journalists, international journalists, everybody, they even sent a petition against Bukele. They say, you are such a wicked person. You are a dictator. How can you do this in present day? You are horrible. You are this. Bukele did not listen to them. He said, yes, I had to take the bull by the horn. I am the youngest and coolest dictator. That was what he called himself. He said, if protecting the property and lives of my citizens would make me a dictator. No problem, I would gladly wear that badge. While international bodies were probing him, sending petitions against him, the results of his brave actions began to show. The statistics came out. In 2015, you had 103 deaths caused by human crimes for every 100,000 people in the country. It became only two deaths that happened per 100,000 people. This was such a remarkable result gotten. Remember, El Salvador was known as the murder capital of the world, but everything changed the moment the president decided to take the bull by the horn. What happened after these gangs were arrested? The streets that used to be run by these evil gangs now returned back to families. People could now do their businesses. Everybody that ran out of the country started coming back. Their country was now safe. In fact, it was recorded that 2025 was the safest year for El Salvador in the past 50 years. Tourism shot up to 35%. Their GDP increased. Foreign investors started dropping back in. Bukele, the president, was not done with his country. He said, I'm going to reform and reshape this country. So, what did he do? He made Bitcoin a legal tender in his country. That was such a smart and brave move. And because of that move, currently, El Salvador holds $700 million worth of Bitcoin. That is impressive. When it was time for election again, he was re-elected with 94% approval ratings. The people of El Salvador said, you are the one we know. You gave us back our homes, you gave us back our lives. Please, carry the go. They not only re-elected him, they told him, you don't have any time limit anymore. If you like, rule for 4 years. If you like, rule for 20 years. If you like, rule for 30 years. You have proven to be a good leader. That was how one man changed the fate of the entire country, because he decided to take responsibility. He decided to be brave when others cowered in fear. This is what happens when a leader says enough is enough and decides to act on his conviction despite what it would cost him. We can continue to argue if what he did was right or wrong, but the truth is that the result of his actions still speaks today in El Salvador. President Bukele came, he met a system. He did not pamper the system or argue with the system. He decided to replace it, decided to uproot it entirely from the root by ignoring the rules and changing the entire outcome. Does this story, without the happy ending, remind you of a certain country? Our country, Nigeria, where villagers, farmers are made to pay dues just to be able to live in their homes, just to be able to farm their lands. The recorded number of deaths that happened in El Salvador, isn't it way lesser than what is happening right now in our country, Nigeria? While watching the documentary on this particular story, my mind went far and I imagined, what if we had somebody like President Bukele in this country? What if would our situation be different? I guess we'll never know.